Hi, my name is Pablo Cordero. I attend Cypress Bay High School. My team and I have been researching the issue of fracking for the past few months, and our newfound knowledge has led us to coming up with several different solutions to the problem presented by this industry. Today I will be examining the issue of fracking regarding the contamination of water. My teammate Russell Vaz plans on solving the issue by reducing the methane gases. Brooke Schwartz plans on resolving the issue by implementing stricter regulations. Gustavo C. wants to increase the efficiency of the transportation of the devices used in fracking. My solution to the global issue is to have the fracking companies build water treatment plants, which is not only the best solution since it prevents harm to the communities, but also benefits them by providing jobs. I will address this issue by looking at the countries of United States, Poland, and China using an economic, environmental, and health lens. To understand the problem, we should first become knowledgeable on fracking. Fracking can be defined as a method of getting oil or gas from the rock below the surface of the ground by making large cracks in it, according to the Cambridge Dictionary. This method of oil and gas extraction has been in use since its development in the late 1940s. In the process of fracking, contamination of drinking water sources such as aquifers, lakes, and rivers are a common occurrence. One example of this is a situation that developed in Pavilion, Wyoming. Here, the people claimed that hydrofracking had contaminated their groundwater. These claims were later proved by the EPA and USGS. In 2011, an article included in the Human and Ecological Risk Assessment observed that, and I quote, potential health impacts of oil and gas drilling in relation to chemicals used during drilling, fracking, processing, and delivery of natural gas, the findings were as predicted. The paper compiled a list of 632 chemicals identified from drilling operations throughout the U.S. It is quite common for these chemicals to end up in our water supplies. This is due to poor construction of wells and oil spills, but ultimately fracking as a whole. This contamination of water sources has many negative effects regarding an economic, environmental, and health standpoint. Beginning with my country, the United States, the negative effects of fracking are quite clear. Using an economic lens, the contamination of water as a result of fracking is not a cheap side effect. For example, in Dinmock, Pennsylvania, Cabot Oil and Gas reported having spent $109,000 on systems to remove methane from well water for 14 local households. In order to get water to only 14 local households, an exorbitant amount of money was needed. Now imagine if the water supply of 50, 100, or 1,000 homes were contaminated. Imagine just how costly this could become. As for the environmental aspect, the contamination of water affects areas such as agriculture and livestock. According to a study published by the Ohio Environmental Council, the death of more than 100 cattle in a test area could be traced back to poor management of frac fluids. This may seem like a minuscule number, but due to the increasing enterprise of fracking and the growing demand of produce, this may affect food supplies in the future. Furthermore, the effects of water contamination due to fracking on health are detrimental. According to Greenpeace, some of the chemicals that comprise frac fluid are highly toxic and cancer-causing. The Endocrine Disruptor Exchange identified 353 chemicals used in fracking, many of which can cause cancer and other serious illnesses, even in small doses. This indicates that fracking has a multitude of chemicals that can put one's health in peril, including illnesses as severe as cancer. Moreover, the poor effects of fracking are not limited to the United States. Economically, fracking proves to be nearly 4 times as costly in Poland when compared to the United States' already expensive price per frac. One exploratory well came up to nearly $15 million per frac compared to the $4 million per frac in the Barnett Shale in Texas. Such expensive means of acquiring natural gas and fossil fuels will provide no benefits and quite possibly hurt the economy. Also, the fracking corporations themselves will not create substantial profits. Environmentally, one can observe many problems that arise from fracking. For instance, in a study conducted in northern Poland, the chemicals that are used for fracking are particularly harmful to the ecosystems in that region, especially when they end up in lakes and streams. Taking this into consideration, Poland's flora and fauna may be threatened by fracking. This is not the cost that a country with such distinct wildlife should pay for somewhat cheaper fossil fuels. Using the health lens, Poland's citizens will be hit hard due to fracking. Poland has about the same quantity of water as Egypt does. As Polish Green Party repeats, we cannot drink gas. Since Poland has a limited water supply, they do not have the luxury of having some water contaminated. And when the water becomes contaminated, the citizens are left with no choice but to consume the tainted water that affects their health. In China, the effects of fracking are similar to those in the previous 2 countries. Despite China's growing market, the expansion of fracking will lead to economic demise for the fracking enterprises. In fact, it has been found that initial production costs at Chinese shale gas sites are high, Those costs are the product of challenging geology, difficult surface conditions, a young industrial chain, and other factors. Current shale gas developers are losing money on each well drilled. To clarify, the expansion of fracking to China will lead to corporations entering a dominated market and other hurdles in the way of profit. When looking at China's environment, it is quite evident that it is currently in a poor shape. In fact, according to the country's Environmental Protection Administration, about 60% of rivers are polluted to the extent that they cannot be used as drinking water. Fracking will only exacerbate this issue. The country has a history of poor stewardship as well as a lack of civil rights, which means the fracking companies will do as they please. Fracking will most likely continue to diminish China's dwindling water sources. Similar to the other two countries, health is also impacted, as stated in an article published by the Center for Environmental Health. Substances that are commonly found in frac fluid, such as methane and arsenic, are specifically detrimental to the health of pregnant women and children, as the effects of these chemicals include low birth weight, birth defects, respiratory problems, cancer, and fertility problems. People often come into contact with these chemicals through the consumption of tainted water. First off, I would like to thank Cambridge for giving me this opportunity to become enlightened in the global issue of fracking, as I have learned lots from this experience. Evidently, fracking negatively impacts the host country's economy, environment, and population health, as can be seen when looking at the countries of the United States, Poland, and China, through the contamination of water. Given the short amount of time we were allotted to become educated and come up with a solution, it can be said that the solution that I came up with may need some work, but given these pressing circumstances, it is the best one available. This problem that plagues our society can be resolved with my proposed solution of having fracking corporations construct and pay for water treatment plants, as well as provide water for the citizens of the areas affected, which would result in a minor reduction in revenue for an industry that rakes in about $283 billion in gross domestic product in the United States alone. Also, this solution serves as a double positive, as the construction and maintenance of the water treatment plants will create new jobs that can be given to the locals. Another benefit to this solution is that the implementation is quite simple regardless of the country one would like to apply it in. Here are my references. Thank you. Have a great day.